Lebanon. I mean, the world did not begin on October the 7th. 1978, Israel invades southern Lebanon. 1982, Israel invades southern Lebanon. Sabra and Shatila massacre. 2006, Second Lebanon War, murder 100 people.
But you always make it sound like they're just doing this for the sake of it. They're not.
What are they doing it for?
Well, they've been provoked by Hezbollah.
Hezbollah didn't exist in 1978, Piers.
OK, I'm talking about the specifics of going on now. The provocation since October the 7th. Hezbollah's first response to October the 7th was to unleash rockets on Israel.
That's not true.
On October the 8th.
That's not true. That's not true.
That is what happened.
Where did they fire the first rocket?
They fired rockets on the 8th.
Where?
Well, you tell me.
No, you just said they fired at Israel. Where?
He's going to say they fired their first rockets on occupied territory that isn't even Israeli territory to begin with, which is correct.
They fired in the direction of Israel.
Where did they hit? They fired at the
if you know
Sheba
the
Farms.
answer, tell me.
I do. They fired at the Sheba Farms, which, as I said earlier, is an area of Syria. Well, the Lebanese claim it's Lebanon. Syria claims it's Lebanon. Israel says no and is occupying the Sheba Farms. They fired at Israeli military installations in the Sheba Farms. Now, have they got fired in Israel?
So
since?
they were firing at Israel. They were firing
Yes.
at an area that Israel says is theirs.
Oh, okay. Well, now southern Lebanon is going to be an area that Israel says is theirs. And then when they fire rockets in the southern Lebanon, that will give more cause to Israel to go and invade and encroach further and further into Lebanese territory. It almost feels like this is 1948 all over again. It's 1948. It's 1967. It's the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. This is how the justification occurs. This is how there is a permission structure designed around Israel doing this over and over again. Oh, sorry. Well, we declared this territory to be ours. You're firing rockets at it. Now we're going to fire rockets back at you. Now we're going to fire rockets in the northern Israeli territory. All right, tit for tat, baby. 80% of the rockets, meanwhile, are actually from the Israeli side going into Lebanon, mind you.
No, Israel doesn't say that. Israel says it's Syria's. Because remember, Piers, Israel is occupying Syria and the West Bank and Gaza and Lebanon, would argue, parts of Lebanon. This is the problem, right? The core of the problem is Israel's territorial expansionism.
It's a mess.
Attacks, not a mess. It's Israel occupying multiple Arab lands, which leads to quote-unquote resistance or quote-unquote terrorism, whichever word. I don't care what word you want to use right now. But that is the core, right? You had John Mearsheimer on the show this week, made the same point. Deal with the occupation, then you deal with the violence. And look, has Hezbollah fired into Israel at civilian attack? Yes, I don't agree with that. But the reality is 82% of the exchange of fire between Lebanon and Israel since October the 7th has been done by Israel.
Nailed it. He hit all the talking points. To Americanize it, imagine if Russia attacked Canada, so America fired back at Russia with Canada. That's basically the same logic they used. Yes. More of Mehdi cooking Piers on that episode.
Rhetoric. I wish I didn't have to compare Donald Trump to Hitler. But when he quotes the lines from Mein Kampf, as a journalist...
Come on, Mehdi.
As a journalist, should I not point out that?
You shouldn't compare him to Hitler because he's not Hitler.
Okay, so what should I do? So I'm a...
Yeah, no one... You can't compare anybody to Hitler. You shouldn't even learn about Adolf Hitler, actually. We shouldn't even be teaching Adolf Hitler because he's a once-in-a-lifetime guy. Okay? Like, there's no reason to learn about Adolf Hitler or the Holocaust. Like, no lessons to be learned from any of those things, you know? Like, this is, like, the fundamental reason why we teach this shit in schools, which, by the way, I don't think we teach this shit in schools well enough, seemingly. Never again means it will never happen again, of course. It's certainly not happening now. They talk about him like he's the GOAT.
I'm a journalist. Donald Trump says immigrants are poisoning our blood. I go look in history, who's the only person who said that? Hitler. Should I not tell my viewers on Piers Morgan Uncensored? Should I go, can't tell them that?
No, you can you can say he shouldn't use language like that.
Can I say he's quoting Adolf Hitler?
You can't say he's the new Hitler.
I mean, I don't know if he's the new Hitler. There's definitely a lot of Hitlerian politicians out there. There's a long list, dude.
I called him the new Hitler.
Right.
I've never called him the new
Hitler.
Hitler.
Accept the people who
but
say
I'm allowed.
that.
But you say I'm allowed to say he's quoting Hitler.
You can, if he uses a direct sentence, which you can chart back to
it's almost directly the same.
That's absolutely fair enough. But the idea that there is any comparison between Trump,
no,
and
of course not. Hitler is Hitler. We know that.
Is appalling.
Hitler is Hitler.
Do you agree it's appalling?
No, but I want to qualify what you're saying. Hitler
you agree it's appalling.
What is appalling?
To compare him to Hitler.
To compare him to Hitler, in what sense, though?
They're calling him the new Hitler.
Yeah, so no, don't call him the new Hitler.
Is that appalling?
Oh my God, I'm not playing the silly game.
Give me a word.
I don't want you put your words about.
Give me a condemnatory word.
I think it's not accurate to say he's the new Hitler because Hitler killed 12 million people. Yeah, it's not true.
Not offensive.
But if you let me finish the sentence,
No, it's not. It's not offensive. I think it's ridiculous to claim that like Hitler is some unique specimen of evil, dude. The entire purpose of learning about Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany is so that we understand all the material conditions that primed a person to be able to do that. And also how the entire world could basically turn a blind eye, specifically German society could turn a blind eye. Except if you kind of read into that a little bit too much, you start noticing the parallels between Israeli society and Nazi Germany. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's a weird thing to think about. Yeah, we shouldn't do that, actually. Don't learn about Hitler. I take it back. Don't learn about any of that, okay? Don't, who cares? It just happened in the past. The past is the past. Come on, come on. This is kind of like a liberal version of being like, well, did he say he was a Nazi? You know what I mean? You know how like Nazis will always engage in like Holocaust revisionism or whatever, and then be like, well, actually, how dare you call this obvious neo-Nazi a Nazi? After all, did he say he was a Nazi? And you can play that song and dance all the way to like everyone but Hitler virtually to be like, well, they didn't actively petition it or whatever, right? And it's all a lie. It's like, that's why we say, if you're sitting at a table with one Nazi and there's 10 other people, then that means there's 11 Nazis at the table. All right? Straight up. And that's instructive in understanding how fascism thrives and fascist actions thrive in modern society as well. And unfortunately, that comparison might hurt your feelings because it's literally, virtually what is going on in identical terms in Israeli society. Israeli society is held together by a resilient and quite unfortunate bloodlust for permanent military occupation everywhere they can get it. And also supremacist attitudes, ultranationalist supremacist attitudes for the in-group being Jewish people. They can masquerade around and say it's for self-determination, it's for sovereignty, it's for we have to create a Jewish nation state. Israel has a right to defend itself over and over again, but you can't keep saying that. It's not like the Germans didn't say that. You know what I mean? They said that too. They said the exact same shit, actually, identically. It's just the in-group, out-group was different.
I speak to a lot of fascism scholars, people like Ruth Ben-Ghiat, Jason Stanley. A lot of people say that there is an analogy between what Trump is doing in America now and what happened in places like Germany in the 20s and 30s.
No,
right? I respect your opinion. I respect your opinion that you don't think it is.
But give me an example.
I'm not having that argument right now. I'm trying to make a separate point, which is if fascism scholars are saying, we look at history and we make comparisons, they are scholars of fascism and they're saying, hey, hold on, the rhetoric is very similar. The way they're operating is very similar. That is it. That, first of all.
By the way, he's talking about Trump here, not even Israel, which a comparison within Israel is also apt. The comparison for America is also apt as well, 100%. Our appetite for destruction is also endless, even though, unlike Nazi Germany, whereas like the Israel comparison is better for Nazi Germany because of the personalized aspect of it almost, because it's like violence that it's dishing out to its own subordinates, basically, its own people that it's held captive for generations. Whereas with America, we have like streamlined the process. It's a machine of death and destruction, but it's far away. So it's easier to not really think about it, which is why you always have in American society people of two minds, people that are like, hell yeah, America being the world police is great, but also simultaneously like, I don't know if we should be spending so much money on war, right? Like, that's not necessarily the same in a country that is hyper militant like Israel, especially when like the violence that they're dishing out is directly in their doorstep. You know what I mean? America got done with its ethnic cleansing campaign a long time ago with its indigenous population, even in terms of its like chattel slavery regime, right? So it's easier for us to whitewash the wrongs of the past while still maintaining certain aspects of that white supremacist attitude, whereas Israel is currently engaging in it. So that necessitates more propaganda, and that creates like a deeply personal connection to dishing out that violence so you can just like, I don't know, hold a rave next to a concentration camp. You know what I mean? That's like, not a thing you can do in other circumstances. Like, you can only do that if you're turning a complete blind eye.
You said Trump. You
Trump
used to be the free speech champion.
I am.
And then you sit there regulating everyone's speech.
I'm not
Say it's appalling.
I'm not regulating. No, I'm asking
you. literally just told me.
Call
it appalling.
That's not regulating what you're saying.
You're
it's asking you, can you bring it in yourself to condemn people who say he's the new Hitler?
I don't know who those people are. J.D. Vance called him the new Hitler, and he's his running mate. To take it up with J.D. Vance.
Condemn him as well.
Call him on your show.
But you condemn anyone on the left who uses it too, right?
Uses what, though?
Who says he's the new Hitler? Specifically.
Those specific words, the new Hitler, yes.
Okay.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
And that should be condemned. Do you condemn him speaking like Hitler?
Yes.
Does that not outrage you?
Of course.
He's like your pal. Why don't you tell him to stop it?
Of course.
Have you ever told him to stop quoting Hitler?
Yes, probably. I can't remember the last interview I did was before or after, but if I do again, I will. Yes, of course.
Good. And hosting a Holocaust dinner at Mar-a-Lago?
But yes, Nick Fuentes, absolutely.
Have you told him to stop doing that?
I said it on Twitter to him. Don't let white supremacists anywhere near you. Why are you doing that?
No, that's not condemnation.
Don't let white supremacists anywhere near you. Why are you doing that? While also simultaneously quoting Adolf Hitler. Sir, Mr. President, sir, why are you doing that? It quite seems like you like it. It seems to me like you're giving people the wrong impression. Or maybe the right impression. I don't know.
That's a question.
I think it's condemn it. Condemn it. It's disgusting.
It's appalling.
It's appalling.
Good.
We're in agreement. You're trying to regulate my speech.
I love when we agree.
Good stuff. It's unseemly, my good sir. How dare you? Unseemly, I say.